All right, so in this video, we're going to be running through the service module in ASPEN Mobile. So we'll jump right into it here. We'll jump into the service module. So right when we hop in here, we're going to have two tabs. We're going to have our agenda tab and we're going to have our work orders tab. So the agenda tab is related to service queue in that it's going to show your techs all the work orders that are assigned to them in the priority order that you had set up in service queue. So just to give you some context to that, if we jump over to service queue, so if we're looking at our text column here, you can see obviously these are the work orders that are assigned to them, and we can drag and drop these work orders within the column to adjust the priority. So however you have configured their column and service queue, that's how it's going to reflect on their end in their agenda tab. So that's the gist of the agenda tab, and then we can jump over to our work orders tab, and this here is just going to show us all the work orders that we have. And we can also use this assign to me tab to narrow down the work orders to all the ones that are assigned to me or to the tech that's in here. So we have that option as well. But we can also drill through all these work orders with a number of different filters here. So we'll jump into our filters so we can narrow our work orders down by scheduling date, location, document status, work order created date, service codes, work order status, and work order priority. So a bunch of different ways to drill through our work orders there. We can also drop down here on our work order and just get a bunch of basic information on that work order just at a glance here. So we can do that. And obviously we can come in here, edit or update any of the work order information from here. And before we jump into the segments, I just want to show you that we can also create work orders from here too. So if you ever need to create a work order on the fly, you can't be tied. You don't want to be tied to a computer. You can create a work order from anywhere off a mobile device. So we jump in here. We can go new. We can just type in our customer. And if you need to add a new customer, you can do that from here too. We'll add our customer. It's going to pull up all that customer information. It's going to pull up all the customer-owned units. So you don't have to go searching for those. But if you need to add a new unit, you can add a unit. And if you need to search for one, you can type it into search, or we can use a barcode scan to search for those units as well. But we'll select our unit, and then you'd come in here and fill out your work order details as you normally would. Build out your segments as you normally would. But yeah, just another way to create work orders, a lot more streamlined than doing it off the desktop. So yeah, that's creating a work order. And then we will jump into the segments. So we'll get into kind of the fun stuff here. So when we jump into our segments, obviously we're going to see all the segments that are listed. Obviously, we just have one here. But it's going to give you the description here. You can see the text that are assigned to it. And then we can also add a segment to an existing work order. If we need to add a segment here, we can. But if we click on a segment, we get all of our quick tasks. So the first one we have here is clocking. Super straightforward to clock in. When you come in, you're going to see the tech's going to see the quoted time, and they're going to see the time they've spent on the segment already. But to clock on, all we'll do is swipe across, and now we're clocked in. If we come back, we'll notice the green dot beside that segment. And if you had a whole bunch of segments listed here, the one that's being worked on, the ones that are being worked on will jump to the top. And you'll have that green dot there, and then same thing kind of goes for the work order screen. So all the work orders that are currently being worked on are going to jump to the top of this list. And again, you're going to see that there's going to be a green dot beside the work order number there. And that's clocking in. So let's go back and clock off of it. So we'll just swipe off. Done deal. And then we can see the clocking history below. We can see who did it, date and time, how long they spent. So we'll have all that clocking history there as well. And again, just to reiterate, anything that you do in here is going to reflect across the board. So it's going to reflect in Aspen Desktop. It's going to reflect in Service Queue. Everything's integrated in real time. So we'll go back, and then we'll run through photos. So the text can add photos directly to work orders, without having to email them around or having to email to the service manager and have them upload them into Aspen. So this will cut out a lot of those steps, save a lot of time, and kind of give visibility into those photos on the work order in real time, right as they take them. So we can jump in here and we can add a picture either from directly from the camera, or we can go into our gallery. So we'll go into our gallery here and we can select as many pictures as we want. So if there's a whole slew of pictures in here, you want to upload a whole bunch of them at once, we can do that. It's not like you need to select one by one, and we can upload up to 50 pictures per segment. So a lot of space for pictures. I know it's important for warranties and whatnot, but we will select the picture we want to upload here. It'll give you the option to delete it or edit it. So we'll edit it. I'll show you how that looks. So we can do a few things here to the picture. We can crop it down. If we want to narrow down a specific area of the unit, we can do that. If we want to add shapes and whatnot, we can add shapes. If we want to add arrows, circles, whatever it may be, we can do that. We can add text to the picture. If you want to type directly on the image, you can do that as well. And then I think this is what probably people use the most is just the drawing tool. So you can come in, circle whatever you want, draw your own arrows, all that kind of stuff. And then you'd come down here. You can put a caption on it, put a description for that picture, save the edits when you're done, and then upload. And then as soon as that's uploaded, it's going to reflect in Aspen here. So if we're looking at the work order, you'll see it come up in the images section. As long as you have that segment highlighted, it'll show up in images, and that's going to happen in real time. So it's not like you need to wait a certain amount of time to have those show up. Those will be in there right away. And that's images. So we'll go back. Next thing we have is comments. So this is going to be for text, kind of internal notes and comments. So this will be a big time saver too. If you guys are currently, having your techs write down their notes on paper, and then they're having to put into Aspen later, or the service manager is having to take time to enter those into Aspen. This is going to be a big time saver. So we can come in here, the text can put their notes here. They can either type them in, or we can do a voice to text. And the voice to text is very accurate. It very rarely makes any errors. It punctuates everything, as you can see here. So the tech can literally be standing at their unit, walking around the unit, getting their notes off, just talking into their phone or into a tablet. So that obviously is going to save time from writing them down or whatever it may be. And then we have the option. So depending on where you guys want these internal comments showing up in Aspen, we can either comment to printed comment or non-printed comment, or both, however you guys want to do it. And then we can save that comment. So we'll save it, and they can kind of come back, click on it, edit it, delete it, whatever they want to do. If they need to make any changes, they can. And then with regards to Aspen Desktop, if we jump over there again, so by default, without those boxes checked, those copied to non-printed, copied to printed, they're going to show up in this mobile comments section. But then obviously, if we have those boxes checked, we're going to show up in here in the printed and non-printed comments. So you can have those pasted here. And then we can easily use this smart edit function to have AI kind of clean everything up to get those kind of customer ready. So that's kind of your internal comments and whatnot. And then we also have the printed memo section. So I know a lot of dealers will have their text just put their notes directly in here, and then then the service manager can kind of edit directly out of the printed memo section. So that's an option as well too, depending on what your guys' preferences are. But the tech can also come in here, or the service manager could even copy and paste from the comment section and do it all off the mobile device and clean the notes up in here. So a few options there, but there's still the voice to text here. So the tech can still put their notes directly in here if that's what you guys wanted to do. And then obviously it's going to show up on the work order just at the segment level in our printed memo section here. So a lot of options here for, where you want your tech comments kind of ending up in Aspen. And then the next thing we have is our standard job steps. So this one's pretty straightforward here. It's just going to be a place for the tech to view those standard job steps. So when you are building out your work order, and if there's a standard job code that kind of goes with it, the steps will populate in here automatically. So the tech will be able to just view those steps. They can leave notes. We have the voice to text here too if they want to, use voice notes out of here to put notes under each step. But more or less, just a place to see those standard job steps. So the next thing I want to show you guys is our part stuff here. So for this first section here, this part list section, so this is going to allow the tech to basically build a part list of the parts they need for the work order and then be able to assign that part list to the parts team to get them to pull the parts for them. So instead of having them, running back and forth to the parts counter to get parts pulled, they'll never have to leave their workstation, and they can just quickly build out a parts list and send off a notification to the parts team to get the parts pulled. So just a nice workflow between the departments there. So we will come in, they'll go create a part list, and we can search by part number or description, or we can even scan a barcode to populate the parts section here. So we'll come in, search for the parts we want to add. And this will load much quicker for you guys on your end. This is just a test environment. But once we'll select our part, put in the quantity we want. It's going to show you the quantity available here below as well. So we'll add the part, and they'll just keep adding parts to that list depending on what they need. And when they're done, they'll go assign part list. And this drop down here, this assign to drop down, it's going to have all the workflow teams that you guys have set up in Aspen. So one of those teams will be the parts team, and it'll have all the people within that parts team. They'll be part of this team here. So we'll pretend this is the parts team. We'll assign it to them. We'll send the task. It'll tell you that they have been assigned that part list. So basically what happens then is the parts team is going to be notified in Aspen, and they're going to get a new task at the top here. So they'll be notified there with the work order number and the part list, and it'll notify them to get those parts pulled. So you can see that's obviously a nice smooth workflow between the departments. Keep everybody at their station, won't disrupt kind of the workflow. So that's that option there, and that's for just requesting the parts. And then we also have the ability for the tech to add parts to the work order themselves, or even a service manager to add parts to the work order. So we can do that as well with this parts section here. So when we come in here, we're going to see all the existing parts that are already on that work order and all the information on them. And we can delete parts from here too. So I know that, deleting parts in Aspen, it can be a little bit more of a pain. So deleting them from here is super easy. If you ever need to delete parts, maybe a tech added a part that was incorrect, you can easily come here and correct that. But to add the parts, we will go add parts. It's going to show you all those existing parts. So we can come in here, similar as before. Let's type in our part number. Let's do this one. So we'll add our part. It'll tell you the quantity available. We want one, add the part. And it's going to also tell you any associated parts. When you're adding a particular part, it'll also tell you any associated charges. So we can add those. And let's also add a part that's out of stock so you guys can see what that looks like. And again, this will load much quicker for you guys on your end. This is just a test environment, so it's going to be a little slower. But we will let's select this part. That's out of stock, so we can see how that looks. We'll add that part. Then we'll go continue to stock. It'll tell you our parts that are available, our parts that are out of stock. So let's add the available ones. And then for the out of stock part, we can either force fill it. So we can add the part to the work order even though it's out of stock. It'll drive the inventory to negative, and it can just be adjusted later. Or we can create a part order or add the part to an existing part order. So let's do that option. I'll tell you the in-stock parts have been added. So here is where we would kind of search for our existing part orders to add that to, or we can create a new part order. Let's do that. Put in our reference, order type, vendor, and then create the part order. And then you'll see it'll take us to our final screen. It'll tell you the parts that have been successfully added that were in stock. And now the parts that are on order It'll give you our part order number, and our expected delivery date there. So that's another option with regards to getting parts to onto the work order. So the last thing I wanted to show you guys out of here is our checklist function. So let's jump in here. So if you guys have any checklist you have the text running through on paper right now, whether it's a PDI or any kind of inspection checklist that you guys are doing, you guys can build these out of here and have the tech run through those checklists from mobile, which is kind of going to give you visibility into kind of what they're filling out and if they're truly completing it. And then it'll give you a PDF that you can easily share with the customer, and I'll show you how that looks. So basically, we can come in here and create our templates. So let's name it. We can have them taking pictures of whatever area of the unit we want, and we can add our own areas as well. So these are fully customizable. You can add as many as you want. And then we can build out our checklist section. So let's call this just general inspection. We can add questions underneath our sections. So we can call this tire condition. You can have them taking pictures of each question as well. And then for our response type, we can either have them answering with a text response, a multi-select, or a single select. So for these, you're going to build out the options. And then obviously the single select, they're going to select one option. Multi-select, they're going to select at least two. And then shortly here with this Aspen mobile release that's going out this week, we're going to have the option to select one of our multi-select or single select options, but also have a text box so the tech can kind of put comments and or recommendations for each question as well. So that will be coming. But we'll do a single select for this. We'll put in our options. Good. Worn. Needs replacement. And then you would just keep building out your questions under your section or start a new section and put your questions under there. But then we can create this template. And it'll add it to our list of checklist templates. And then basically for the assigning portion of this, so if we want to assign this to the work order, so it pops up under their checklist here, you can see there's two completed. But if we want to assign them so they show up here, we can go do that through service queue. So how that would look, just to kind of tie everything together, we would come into service queue and go to our segment and come down to checklist, and we'll search for that template we just made. Associate the selected, so that's going to assign it. You can see here. And then if we come back over to mobile, we jump in here, you'll see it's now assigned. So now basically what the tech would do, they'd see this is assigned. They'll click on the checklist and they can come in and fill out their checklist. So fill in their pictures just by clicking on that there, fill out their questions. They can save it and continue working on it later, or they can complete it. And this is going to auto save too. So if they start filling stuff out and they get tied up with something else, it's not going to delete everything. It'll automatically save it. But basically when they complete this checklist as well, so let's complete, actually we won't complete it because it'll take too long to fill out these images. But basically when they complete it, obviously the status here is going to change to completed, and you can come in and see everything they put in. And it's also going to save it as a PDF on the work order in Aspen. So if we look in Aspen, in our attachment section, it'll be saved there as a PDF. You can easily share it with the customer. It'll also save in service queue as well. So it'll show as complete here, the status. You'll have an action to download, and we can download that PDF from here as well, pull it up, and quickly print this off and share this with the customer from here as well. So a few options there. And that is checklist. And without service queue, I just want to add as well. So if you guys don't have service queue and you still want to use the checklist function, it completely can still happen. So basically what would happen in that scenario is the tech can still see all the templates that you guys have created. And you just would have to specify the checklist that you want them running through, whether it is through like the comments. You could just say, we're running test checklist 1, 2, 3, 3. and then they would come in here and they can just click start, and they can run through the checklist this way as well. And you'll see if I start working on this, save it, it'll pop up in here as in progress, so it'll automatically populate up there as well. So there's a couple options with regards to that. You don't need service queue to use the checklist function. It just makes it a little smoother, allows you to assign it. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to show you guys out of service in ASPEN Mobile. Thank you for watching.